North Macedonia, officially the Republic of North Macedonia, is a landlocked country in southeast Europe. It shares land borders with Greece to the south, Albania to the west, Bulgaria to the east, Kosovo to the northwest and Serbia to the north. It constitutes approximately the northern third of the larger geographical region of Macedonia. Skopje, the capital and largest city, is home to a quarter of the country's population of over 1.83 million. The majority of the residents are ethnic Macedonians, a South Slavic people. Albanians form a significant minority at around 25%, followed by Turks, Roma, Serbs, Bosniaks, Aromanians and a few other minorities. The region's history begins with the Kingdom of Paeonia. In the late 6th century BC, the area was subjugated by the Persian Achaemenid Empire, then incorporated into the Kingdom of Macedonia in the 4th century BC. The Roman Republic conquered the region in the 2nd century BC and made it part of its larger province of Macedonia. The area remained part of the Byzantine Empire, but was often raided and settled by Slavic tribes beginning in the 6th century CE. Following centuries of contention between the Bulgarian, Byzantine, and Serbian empires, it was part of the Ottoman Empire from the mid-14th until the early 20th century, when, following the Balkan Wars of 1912 and 1913, the modern territory of North Macedonia came under Serbian rule. During the First World War, the territory was ruled by Bulgaria. After the end of the war, it returned to Serbian rule as part of the newly formed Kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenes. During the Second World War, it was again ruled by Bulgaria, and in 1945 it was established as a constituent state of Communist Yugoslavia, which it remained until its peaceful secession in 1991. The country became a member of the United Nations, UN, in 1993. North Macedonia is a member of NATO, the Council of Europe, the World Bank, OSCE, CEFTA, BSEC and the WTO. Since 2005, it has also been a candidate for joining the European Union. North Macedonia is an upper-middle-income country by the World Bank's definitions and has undergone considerable economic reform since its independence in developing an open economy. It is a developing country with a very high Human Development Index and low income inequality, and provides social security, a universal health care system, and free primary and secondary education to its citizens.
Names and etymology.
The state's name derives from the Greek word Macedonia, Macedonia, a kingdom, later, region, named after the ancient Macedonians. Their name, Macedons, ultimately derives from the ancient Greek adjective makednos, meaning tall or taper, which shares the same root as the adjective makros, long, tall, high, in ancient Greek. The name is believed to have originally meant either highlanders or the tall ones, possibly descriptive of the people. According to the linguist Robert S.P. Beeks, both terms are of pre-Greek substrate origin and cannot be explained in terms of Indo-European morphology. According to linguist Philip de Decker, Beeks's arguments are insufficiently supported. Apart from the Byzantine theme of Macedonia, the name Macedonia was largely forgotten as a geographical denomination through the Byzantine and Ottoman eras but was revived by Bulgarian and Greek nationalist movements from the early 19th century onwards. It was revived only in middle of the century, with the rise of nationalism in the Ottoman Empire. In the early 20th century the region was already a national cause, contested among Bulgarian, Greek, and Serbian nationalists. During the interwar period the use of the name Macedonia was prohibited in the Kingdom of Yugoslavia due to the implemented policy of Serbianization of the local Slavic speakers. The name Macedonia was adopted officially for the first time at the end of the Second World War by the new Socialist Republic of Macedonia, which became one of the 6 constituent countries of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. After the breakup of Yugoslavia, This federal entity declared independence and proclaimed as its official name the Republic of Macedonia in 1991. The Prespa Agreement of June 2018 saw the country change its name to the Republic of North Macedonia 8 months later. A non-binding national referendum on the matter passed with 90% approval but did not reach the required 50% turnout amidst a boycott, leaving the final decision with Parliament to ratify the result. Parliament approved of the name change on the 19th of October, reaching the required two-thirds majority needed to enact constitutional changes. The vote to amend the constitution and change the name of the country passed on the 11th of January 2019 in favor of the amendment. The amendment entered into force on the 12th of February, following the ratification of the Prespa Agreement and the Protocol on the accession of North Macedonia to NATO by the Greek Parliament. Many of the country's citizens and local media outlets unofficially refer to the country as Macedonia.
History. Early history.
North Macedonia geographically roughly corresponds to the ancient Kingdom of Paeonia, which was located immediately north of the ancient Kingdom of Macedonia. In early times, the chief town and seat of the Paeonian kings was Bilazora, in modern Sveti Nikol municipality in North Macedonia, on the Vardar. Later, the seat of the kings was moved to Stobi, near modern Gradsko. Paeonia was inhabited by the Paeonians, whilst the northwest was inhabited by the Illyrian Dardani and southwest by the Inchili, also an Illyrian tribe, as well as Pelagones and Linstei, generally regarded as Molossian tribes of the northwestern Greek group. In the late 6th century BC, the Achaemenid Persians under Darius the Great conquered Paeonia, incorporating the area within their vast territories. Following their defeat in the Second Persian invasion of Greece in 479 BC, the Persians eventually withdrew from their European territories. Philip II of Macedon absorbed the regions of Upper Macedonia, Lynxtus and Pelagonia, and the southern part of Paeonia, Duryopus, into the Kingdom of Macedon in 356 BC. After the death of Agis, the Kingdom of Paeonia, then led by Lyxius, became vassal to Philip II in 356 BC. Philip's son Alexander the Great conquered the remainder of the region and incorporated it in his empire, reaching as far north as Skopje, but the city and the surrounding area remained part of Dardania. After the death of Alexander, Celtic armies began to bear down on the southern regions, threatening the Kingdom of Macedon. In 310 BC, they attacked the area, but were defeated. The Romans established the province of Macedonia in 146 BC. By the time of Diocletian, the province had been subdivided between Macedonia Prima, First Macedonia, in the south, encompassing most of the Kingdom of Macedon, and Macedonia Salutaris, meaning wholesome Macedonia, known also as Macedonia Secunda, Second Macedonia, in the north, encompassing parts of Dardania and the whole of Paeonia, with the city of Stobi as its capital. This comprised most of the territory of the modern country. Roman expansion brought the Skopje area under Roman rule in the time of Domitian, 81-96 AD, and it fell within the province of Moesia. Whilst Greek remained the dominant language in the eastern part of the Roman Empire, especially south of the Jurachek line, Latin spread to Macedonia to some extent.
Medieval period.
Slavic tribes settled in the Balkan region, including North Macedonia, by the late 6th century AD. They were led by Pannonian Avars. The Slavs settled on places of earlier settlements and probably merged later with the local populations to form mixed Byzantine Slavic communities. Historical records document that in circa 680 a Bulgar ruler called Cuba led a group of largely Christians called Sermesianoi, who were his subjects, and they settled in the region of Pelagonia. They may have consisted of Bulgars, Byzantines, Slavs and even Germanic tribes. There is no more information of Cuba's life. Presian's reign apparently coincides with the extension of Bulgarian control over the Slavic tribes in and around Macedonia. The Slavic tribes that settled in the region of Macedonia converted to Christianity around the 9th century during the reign of Tsar Boris I of Bulgaria. The Ohrid Literary School became one of the two major cultural centers of the First Bulgarian Empire, along with the Preslav Literary School. Established in Ohrid in 886 by Saint Clement of Ohrid on the order of Boris I, the Ohrid Literary School was involved in the spreading of the Cyrillic script. After Sviatoslav's invasion of Bulgaria, the Byzantines took control of East Bulgaria. Samuel was proclaimed Tsar of Bulgaria. He moved the capital to Skopje and then to Ohrid, which had been the cultural and military center of southwestern Bulgaria since Boris I's rule. Samuel re-established Bulgarian power, but after several decades of conflicts, in 1014, the Byzantine Emperor Basil II defeated his armies, and within 4 years the Byzantines restored control over the Balkans. Modern-day North Macedonia was included into a new province, called Bulgaria. The rank of the autocephalous Bulgarian Patriarchate was lowered due to its subjugation to Constantinople, and it was transformed into the Archbishopric of Ohrid. By the late 12th century, Byzantine decline saw the region contested by various political entities, including a brief Norman occupation in the 1080s. In the early 13th century, a revived Bulgarian Empire gained control of the region. Plagued by political difficulties, the empire did not last, and the region came once again under Byzantine control in the early 14th century. In the 14th century, it became part of the Serbian Empire. Skopje became the capital of Tsar Stefan Dušan's empire. Following Dušan's death, a weak successor appeared, and power struggles between nobles divided the Balkans once again. These events coincided with the entry of the Ottoman Turks into Europe.
Ottoman period.
The Kingdom of Prelep was one of the short-lived states that emerged from the collapse of the Serbian Empire in the 14th century and was seized by the Ottomans at the end of the same century. Gradually, all of the Central Balkans were conquered by the Ottoman Empire and remained under its domination for 5 centuries as part of the province or Aile of Rumelia. The name Rumelia, Turkish, Rumeli, means land of the Romans in Turkish, referring to the lands conquered by the Ottoman Turks from the Byzantine Empire. Over the centuries, Rumelia Aile was reduced in size through administrative reforms, until by the 19th century it consisted of a region of central Albania and western North Macedonia with its capital at Manastir or present-day Bitola. Rumelia Aile was abolished in 1867 and that territory of Macedonia subsequently became part of vilayets of Manastir, Kosovo and Selanik until the end of Ottoman rule in 1912. With the beginning of the Bulgarian national revival in the 19th century, many of the reformers were from this region, including the Miladinov brothers, Rajko Zinzifov, Joachim Krovsky, Kirill Pachinovic and others. The bishoprics of Skopje, Debar, Bitola, Ohrid, Veles, and Strumica voted to join the Bulgarian Exarchate after it was established in 1870.
Modern period. Macedonian autonomism.
Several movements whose goals were the establishment of an autonomous Macedonia, which would encompass the entire region of Macedonia, began to arise in the late 19th century. The earliest of these was the Bulgarian Macedonian Adrianople Revolutionary Committees, later becoming Secret Macedonian Adrianople Revolutionary Organization, SMARO. In 1905 it was renamed the Internal Macedonian Adrianople Revolutionary Organization, AMARO, and after World War I the organization separated into the Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organization, IMRO, and the Internal Thracian Revolutionary Organization, ITRO. In the early years of the organization, membership eligibility was exclusive to Bulgarians, but later it was extended to all inhabitants of European Turkey regardless of ethnicity or religion. The majority of its members were Macedonian Bulgarians. In 1903, IMRO organized the Ilinden Preobraleni uprising against the Ottomans, which after some initial successes, including the forming of the Kruševo Republic, was crushed with much loss of life. The uprising and the forming of the Kruševo Republic are considered the cornerstone and precursors to the eventual establishment of the Macedonian state. The leaders of the Ilinden uprising are celebrated as national heroes in North Macedonia. The names of IMRO revolutionaries like Gotse Delchev, Pitu Guli, Dane Grueff and Jan Sandanski were included into the lyrics of the national anthem. Of the state of North Macedonia, Deans nad Makedonija, today over Macedonia, the major national holiday of North Macedonia, the Republic Day, is celebrated on 2 August, Ilinden, Saint Elijah Day, the day of the Ilinden uprising.
Kingdom of Serbia.
Following the two Balkan Wars of 1912 and 1913 and the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire, most of its European-held territories were divided between Greece, Bulgaria and Serbia. Most of the territory that was to become North Macedonia was annexed by Serbia, conforming to the Treaty of Peace concluded at Bucharest. However, Strumica region was passed to Bulgaria. Following the partition, an anti-Bulgarian campaign was carried out in the areas under Serbian and Greek control. As many as 641 Bulgarian schools and 761 churches were closed by the Serbs, while exarchist clergy and teachers were expelled. The use of all Macedonian dialects and Standard Bulgarian were prescribed. IMRO, together with local Albanians, organized the Ohrid Debar uprising against the Serbian rule. Within a few days the rebels captured the towns of Gostivar, Struga and Ohrid, expelling the Serbian troops. According to the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace report, a Serbian army of 100,000 regulars suppressed the uprising. Many were killed and tens of thousands of refugees fled to Bulgaria and Albania.
World War I.
During the First World War, most of today's North Macedonia was part of the Bulgarian-occupied zone of Serbia after the country was invaded by the Central Powers in the fall of 1915. The region was known as the Military Inspection Area of Macedonia, and was administered by a Bulgarian military commander. A policy of Bulgarization of the region and its population was immediately initiated. During the period, the IMRO arose from a clandestine organization to serve as gendarmerie, taking control of the whole police structure, enforcing the Bulgarization of the region. According to Robert Gerwith, the Bulgarian denationalization policy, including its paramilitary aspect, was almost identical in its intent and execution to the Serbian policy that preceded it. Bulgarian language was to be exclusively used, Serbian Cyrillic was forbidden, Serbian priests were arrested and deported, Serbian-sounding names had to be changed to Bulgarian ones, school teachers were brought from Bulgaria while Serbian books were taken from schools and libraries and publicly destroyed. Adult males were sent to labor camps or forced to join the Bulgarian army. Representatives of the Serbian intelligentsia were deported or executed. According to Paul Moses, the aim of the Bulgarian government was to create pure Bulgarian territories by denationalizing the non-Bulgarian Slavic population of Macedonia.
Kingdom of Yugoslavia.
After the capitulation of Bulgaria and the end of the First World War, the area returned under Belgrade control as part of the newly formed Kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenes and Sora. Reintroduction of anti-Bulgarian measures. Bulgarian teachers and clergy were expelled, Bulgarian language signs and books removed, and all Bulgarian organizations dissolved. Also, after the Treaty of Nei-sur-Seine, the Strumica region was annexed to Serbian Macedonia in 1919. The Serbian government pursued a policy of forced Serbianization in the region, which included systematic suppression of Bulgarian activists, altering family surnames, internal colonization, exploiting workers, and intense propaganda. To aid the implementation of this policy, some 50,000 Serbian army and gendarmerie were stationed in present-day North Macedonia. By 1940, about 280 Serbian colonies, comprising 4,200 families, were established as part of the government's internal colonization program. Initial plans envisaged 50,000 families settling in present-day North Macedonia. In 1929, the kingdom was officially renamed the Kingdom of Yugoslavia, and divided into provinces called Banovinas. South Serbia, including all of present-day North Macedonia, became the Vardar Banovina of the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. The Internal Macedonian Revolutionary Organization, IMRO, promoted the concept of an independent Macedonia in the interwar period. Its leaders, including Todor Alexandrov, Alexander Protogirov, and Ivan Mihailov, promoted independence of the Macedonian territory split between Serbia and Greece for the whole population, regardless of religion and ethnicity. The Bulgarian government of Alexander Malinov in 1918 offered to give Pirin Macedonia for that purpose after World War I, but the great powers did not adopt this idea because Serbia and Greece opposed it. In 1924, the Communist International, Comintern, suggested that all Balkan communist parties adopt a platform of a united Macedonia, but the suggestion was rejected by the Bulgarian and Greek communists. IMRO followed by starting an insurgent war in Vardar, Macedonia, together with Macedonian Youth Secret Revolutionary Organization, which also conducted guerrilla attacks against the Serbian administrative and army officials there. In 1923 in Stip, a paramilitary organization called Association Against Bulgarian Bandits was formed by Serbian Chetniks, IMRO renegades and Macedonian Federative Organization, MFO, members to oppose IMRO and MMTRO. On the 9th of October 1934, IMRO member Vlado Chernozemski assassinated Alexander I of Yugoslavia. The Macedonist ideas increased in Yugoslav Vardar Macedonia and among the left diaspora in Bulgaria during the interwar period. They were supported by the Comintern. In 1934, the Comintern issued a special resolution in which for the first time directions were provided for recognizing the existence of a separate Macedonian nation and Macedonian language.
World War II.
During World War II, Yugoslavia was occupied by the Axis powers from 1941 to 1945. The Vardar Banovina was divided between Bulgaria and Italian-occupied Albania. Bulgarian action committees were established to prepare the region for the new Bulgarian administration and army. The committees were mostly formed by former members of IMRO and Macedonian Youth Secret Revolutionary Organization, MYSRO, but some IMRO, United, former members also participated. As leader of the Vardar Macedonian Communists, Metodi Shatarov, Shalo, switched from the Yugoslav Communist Party to the Bulgarian Communist Party and refused to start military action against the Bulgarian army. The Bulgarian authorities, under German pressure, were responsible for the roundup and deportation of over 7,000 Jews in Skopje and Bitola. Harsh rule by the occupying forces encouraged many Vardar Macedonians to support the communist partisan resistance movement of Josip Broz Tito after 1943, and the National Liberation War ensued. In Vardar Macedonia, after the Bulgarian coup d'état of 1944, the Bulgarian troops, surrounded by German forces, fought their way back to the old borders of Bulgaria. Under the leadership of the new Bulgarian pro-Soviet government, 4 armies, 455,000 strong in total, were mobilized and reorganized. Most of them re-entered occupied Yugoslavia in early October 1944 and moved from Sofia to Nis, Skopje and Pristina with the strategic task of blocking the German forces withdrawing from Greece. The Bulgarian army would reach the Alps in Austria, participating in the expulsion of the Germans to the west, through Yugoslavia and Hungary. Compelled by the Soviet Union with a view towards the creation of a large South Slav federation, in 1946 the new communist government, led by Georgy Dimitrov, agreed to give Bulgarian Macedonia to a united Macedonia. With the Bled Agreement, in 1947 Bulgaria formally confirmed the envisioned unification of the Macedonian region, but postponed this act until after the formation of the future federation. It was the first time it accepted the existence of a separate Macedonian ethnicity and language. After the Tito-Stalin split, the region of Pirin, Macedonia remained part of Bulgaria, and later the Bulgarian Communist Party revised its view of the existence of a separate Macedonian nation and language.
Socialist Yugoslavia.
In December 1944, the Anti-Fascist Assembly for the National Liberation of Macedonia, ASNOM, proclaimed the People's Republic of Macedonia as part of the People's Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. ASNOM remained an acting government until the end of the war. The Macedonian alphabet was codified by linguists of ASNOM, who based their alphabet on the phonetic alphabet of Vuk Stefanović Karadžić and the principles of Krist Petkov Misirkov. During the Civil War in Greece, 1946 to 1949, Macedonian communist insurgents supported the Greek communists. Many refugees fled to the Socialist Republic of Macedonia from there. The state removed "socialist" from its name in 1991 when it peacefully seceded from Yugoslavia. The new republic became one of the 6 republics of the Yugoslav Federation. Following the federation's renaming as the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in 1963, the People's Republic of Macedonia was likewise renamed the Socialist Republic of Macedonia.
Declaration of Independence.
North Macedonia officially celebrates the 8th of September 1991 as Independence Day, Macedonian, Den na nezavisnosti, Den na nezavisnosti, with regard to the referendum endorsing independence from Yugoslavia. The anniversary of the start of the Ilinden Uprising, St. Elijah's Day, on the 2nd of August is also widely celebrated on an official level as the Day of the Republic. Robert Badinter, as the head of the Arbitration Commission of the Peace Conference on Yugoslavia, recommended EC recognition in January 1992. On the 15th of January 1992, Bulgaria was the first country to recognize the independence of the Republic. Macedonia remained at peace through the Yugoslav wars of the early 1990s. A few very minor changes to its border with Yugoslavia were agreed upon to resolve problems with the demarcation line between the two countries. It was seriously destabilized by the Kosovo War in 1999, when an estimated 360,000 ethnic Albanian refugees from Kosovo took refuge in the country. They departed shortly after the war, and Albanian nationalists on both sides of the border took up arms soon after in pursuit of autonomy or independence for the Albanian populated areas of Macedonia.
21st century 2001 insurgency.
A conflict took place between the government and ethnic Albanian insurgents, mostly in the north and west of the country, between February and August 2001. The war ended with the intervention of a NATO ceasefire monitoring force. Under the terms of the Ohrid Agreement, the government agreed to devolve greater political power and cultural recognition to the Albanian minority. The Albanian side agreed to abandon separatist demands and to recognize all Macedonian institutions fully. In addition, according to this accord, the NLA were to disarm and hand over their weapons to a NATO force. However, the Macedonian security forces had 2 more armed confrontations with Albanian militant groups, in 2007 and 2015 respectively. Interethnic tensions flared in Macedonia in 2012, with incidents of violence between ethnic Albanians and Macedonians. In April 2017, about 200 protesters, reportedly mostly from the conservative VMRO-DPMNE party, stormed the Macedonian parliament in response to the election of Talat Zafari, an ethnic Albanian and former National Liberation Army commander during the 2001 conflict, as the Speaker of the Assembly.
Anti-Cazation.
Upon its coming to power in 2006, but especially since the country's non-invitation to NATO in 2008, the VMRO-DPMNE government pursued a policy of anti-Cazation, anti-Kvisatia, as a way of putting pressure on Greece as well as for the purposes of domestic identity building. Statues of Alexander the Great and Philip of Macedon have been erected in several cities across the country. Additionally, many pieces of public infrastructure, such as airports, highways, and stadiums were renamed after Alexander and Philip. These actions were seen as deliberate provocations in neighboring Greece, exacerbating the dispute and further stalling the country's EU and NATO applications. The policy has also attracted criticism domestically, as well as from EU diplomats, and, following the Prespa Agreement, it has been partly reversed after 2016 by the new SDSM government of North Macedonia. Moreover, per Prespa Agreement, both countries have acknowledged that their respective understanding of the terms Macedonia and Macedonian refers to a different historical context and cultural heritage.
EU and NATO path.
In August 2017, what was then the Republic of Macedonia signed a friendship agreement with Bulgaria, aiming to end anti-Bulgarian ideology in the country and to solve the historical issues between the two. Under the Prespa Agreement, signed with Greece on the 17th of June 2018, the country agreed to change its name to the Republic of North Macedonia and stop public use of the Virgin Sun. It retained the demonym Macedonian, but clarified this as distinct from the Hellenistic Macedonian identity in northern Greece. The agreement included removal of irredentist material from textbooks and maps in both countries, and official UN recognition of the Slavic Macedonian language. It replaced the bilateral interim accord of 1995. The withdrawal of the Greek veto, along with the signing the friendship agreement with Bulgaria, resulted in the European Union on the 27th of June approving the start of accession talks, which were expected to take place in 2019. Under the condition that the Prespa deal was implemented. On the 5th of July, the Prespa Agreement was ratified by the Macedonian Parliament with 69 MPs voting in favor of it. On the 12th of July, NATO invited Macedonia to start accession talks in a bid to become the alliance's 30th member. On the 30th of July, the Parliament of Macedonia approved plans to hold a non-binding referendum on changing the country's name, which took place on the 30th of September. 91% of voters voted in favor with a 37% turnout, but the referendum was not carried because of a constitutional requirement for a 50% turnout. On the 6th of February 2019, the permanent representatives of NATO member states and Macedonian Foreign Affairs Minister Nikola Dimitrov signed in Brussels the accession protocol of North Macedonia into NATO. The protocol was then ratified on the 8th of February by the Greek Parliament, thus completing all the preconditions for putting into force the Prespa Agreement. Subsequently, on the 12th of February, the Macedonian government announced the formal activation of the constitutional amendments which effectively renamed the country as North Macedonia and informed accordingly the United Nations and its member states. In March 2020, after the ratification process by all NATO members was completed, North Macedonia acceded to NATO, becoming the 30th member state. The same month, the leaders of the European Union formally gave approval to North Macedonia to begin talks to join the EU. On the 17th of November 2020, Bulgaria refused to approve the European Union's negotiation framework for North Macedonia, effectively blocking the official start of accession talks with this country. The explanation from the Bulgarian side was no implementation of the Friendship Treaty from 2017, state-supported hate speech, minority claims, and an ongoing nation-building process based on historical negationism of the Bulgarian identity, culture and legacy in the broader region of Macedonia. The veto received condemnation by intellectuals from both states and criticism from international observers. Protests broke out in July 2022, organized by the opposition parties, over the French proposal for the accession of North Macedonia to the EU. The accession talks for the accession of North Macedonia to the EU officially began in the same month, after the French proposal was passed by the Assembly of North Macedonia. The 2023 European Commission Progress Report has cited the unfulfilled constitutional changes as the primary reasons for the blocking of the further country's accession path. The EU's intention regarding the country's accession seems unclear, excluding desire to maintain its geopolitical influence here, countering the Chinese and Russian impact in the Western Balkans. On the 25th of September 2024, the EU announced the separation of Albania from North Macedonia on the EU accession path, due to the disputes between North Macedonia and Bulgaria. Following the decision, the EU opened negotiations on the first chapters with Albania separately on October 15, 2024.
Geography.
North Macedonia has a total area of 25,436 square kilometers, 9,821 square miles. It lies between latitudes 40 degrees and 43 degrees north, and mostly between longitudes 20 degrees and 23 degrees east. A small area lies east of 23 degrees. North Macedonia has some 748 kilometers, 465 miles, of boundaries, shared with Serbia, 62 kilometers or 39 miles, to the north, Kosovo, 159 kilometers or 99 miles, to the northwest, Bulgaria, 148 kilometers or 92 miles, to the east, Greece, 228 kilometers or 142 miles, to the south, and Albania, 151 kilometers or 94 miles, to the west. It is a transit way for shipment of goods from Greece, through the Balkans, towards Eastern, Western and Central Europe and through Bulgaria to the east. It is part of the larger region of Macedonia, which also includes Greek Macedonia and the Blagoevgrad province in southwestern Bulgaria. North Macedonia is a landlocked country that is geographically clearly defined by a central valley formed by the Vardar River and framed along its borders by mountain ranges. The terrain is mostly rugged, located between the Sar Mountains and Osogovo, which frame the valley of the Vardar River. Three large lakes, Lake Ohrid, Lake Prespa and Dodran Lake, lie on the southern borders, bisected by the frontiers with Albania and Greece. Ohrid is considered to be one of the oldest lakes and biotopes in the world. The region is seismically active and has been the site of destructive earthquakes in the past, most recently in 1963 when Skopje was heavily damaged by a major earthquake, killing over 1,000. North Macedonia also has scenic mountains. They belong to two different mountain ranges. The first is the Sar Mountains that continues to the west Vardar, Pelagonia group of mountains, Barber Mountain, Nidze, Kosif and Jakupika, also known as the Dinaric Range. The second range is the Osogovo-Belasica mountain chain, also known as the Rhodope Range. The mountains belonging to the Sar Mountains and the West Vardar, Pelagonia Range are younger and higher than the older mountains of the Osogovo-Belasica mountain group. Mount Korab of the Sar Mountains on the Albanian border, at 2,764 meters, 9,068 feet, is the tallest mountain in North Macedonia. In North Macedonia there are 1,100 large sources of water. The rivers flow into three different basins: the Aegean, the Adriatic and the Black Sea. The Aegean basin is the largest. It covers 87% of the territory of North Macedonia, which is 22,075 square kilometers, 8,523 square miles. Vardar, the largest river in this basin, drains 80% of the territory or 20,459 square kilometers, 7,899 square miles. Its valley plays an important part in the economy and the communication system of the country. The Vardar Valley project is considered to be crucial for the strategic development of the country. The river Black Drin forms the Adriatic basin, which covers an area of about 3,320 square kilometers, 1,282 square miles, i.e., 13% of the territory. It receives water from lakes Prespa and Ohrid. The Black Sea basin is the smallest with only 37 square kilometers, 14 square miles. It covers the northern side of Mount Skopska Crna Gora. This is the source of the river Binaka Morava, which joins the Morava, and later, the Danube, which flows into the Black Sea. North Macedonia has around 50 ponds and 3 natural lakes, Lake Ohrid, Lake Prespa and Lake Dodron. In North Macedonia there are 9 spa towns and resorts: Banjta, Banja Bansko, Istibanja, Katlanovo, Kezovica, Kosovrasti, Banja Kakani, Kumanovski Banji and Nagorci.
Climate.
4 different seasons are found in the country, with warm and dry summers and moderately cold and snowy winters. The range of temperatures recorded throughout the year ranges from -20 degrees Celsius, -4 degrees Fahrenheit, in winter, to 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, in summer. Low winter temperatures are influenced by winds from the north, while heat seasons during summer arise due to the subtropical pressure of the Aegean Sea and climate influences from the Middle East, with the latter causing dry periods. There are 3 main climatic zones in the country: mildly continental in the north, temperate Mediterranean in the south, and mountainous in the zones with high altitude. Along the valleys of the Vardar and Strumica rivers, in the regions of Gevgelia, Volandovo, Dodron, Strumica, and Radovis, the climate is temperate Mediterranean. The warmest regions are Demir Kapia and Gevgelia, where the temperature in July and August frequently exceeds 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Average annual precipitation varies from 1,700 mm, 66.9 in the western mountainous area to 500 mm, 19.7 in the eastern area. There is a low level of precipitation in the Vardar Valley with 500 mm, 19.7 of water per year. The climate and irrigation diversity allow the cultivation of different plant types, including wheat, maize, potatoes, poppies, peanuts, and rice. There are 30 main and regular weather stations in the country.
Biodiversity.
The flora of North Macedonia is represented by around 210 families, 920 genera, and around 3,700 plant species. The most abundant group are the flowering plants with around 3,200 species, followed by mosses, 350 species, and ferns, 42. Phytogeographically, North Macedonia belongs to the Illyrian province of the Circumboreal region within the Boreal Kingdom. According to the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, and the Digital Map of European Ecological Regions by the European Environment Agency, the territory of the Republic can be subdivided into 4 terrestrial ecoregions: the Pindus Mountains mixed forests, Balkan mixed forests, Rhodope montane mixed forests, and Aegean and Western Turkey sclerophyllous and mixed forests. North Macedonia had a 2019 Forest Landscape Integrity Index mean score of 7.42, ranking it 40th globally out of 172 countries. The native forest fauna is abundant and includes bears, wild boars, wolves, foxes, squirrels, chamois and deer. The lynx is found, very rarely, in the mountains of western Macedonia, while deer can be found in the region of Demir Kapia. Forest birds include the blackcap, the grouse, the black grouse, the imperial eagle and the forest owl. The country has 4 national parks.
Politics.
North Macedonia is a parliamentary democracy with an executive government composed of a coalition of parties from the unicameral legislature, sobrani, assembly in English, and an independent judicial branch with a constitutional court. The assembly is made up of 120 seats and the members are elected every 4 years. The role of the president is mostly ceremonial, with the real power resting in the hands of the prime minister. The president is the commander-in-chief of the state armed forces and the president of the State Security Council. The president is elected every 5 years and he or she can be elected twice at most. Since 2019, local government functions are divided between 80 municipalities, opštine, singular, opština. The capital, Skopje, is governed as a group of 10 municipalities collectively referred to as the City of Skopje. Municipalities in North Macedonia are units of local self-government. Neighboring municipalities may establish cooperative arrangements. The country's main political divergence is between the largely ethnically based political parties representing the country's ethnic Macedonian majority and Albanian minority. The issue of the power balance between the two communities led to a brief war in 2001, following which a power-sharing agreement was reached. In August 2004, Parliament passed legislation redrawing local boundaries and giving greater local autonomy to ethnic Albanians in areas where they predominate. After a troublesome pre-election campaign, North Macedonia saw a relatively calm and democratic change of government in the elections held on 5 July 2006. The elections were marked by a decisive victory of the centre-right party VMRO-DPMNE led by Nikola Gruevski. Gruevski's decision to include the Democratic Party of Albanians in the new government, instead of the Democratic Union for Integration Party for Democratic Prosperity Coalition, which won the majority of the Albanian votes, triggered protests throughout the parts of the country with a respective number of Albanian population. A dialogue was later established between the Democratic Union for Integration and the ruling VMRO-DMPNE party as an effort to talk about the disputes between the two parties and to support European and NATO aspirations of the country. After the early parliamentary elections held in 2008, VMRO-DPMNE and Democratic Union for Integration formed a ruling coalition. In April 2009, presidential and local elections in the country were carried out peacefully, which was crucial for Macedonian aspirations to join the EU. The ruling conservative VMRO-DPMNE party won a victory in the local elections and the candidate supported by the party, Gorgi Ivanov, was elected as the new president. In June 2017, Zoran Zaev of the Social Democratic Party became the new prime minister 6 months after early elections. The new centre-left government ended 11 years of conservative VMRO-DPMNE rule led by former Prime Minister Nikola Gruevski. As of 4 January 2020, the acting Prime Minister of North Macedonia was Oliver Spasovski and the President of the Parliament was Talat Zafari. The election of Zafari was immediately met with protests led by VMRO-DPMNE, which was quickly handled by the police. The early parliamentary elections took place on 15 July 2020. Zoran Zaev has served as the Prime Minister of the Republic of North Macedonia again since August 2020. Stevo Pendarovski was sworn in as North Macedonia's president in May 2019. Prime Minister Zoran Zaev announced his resignation after his party, the Social Democratic Union, suffered losses in local elections in October 2021. In January 2022, Dimitar Kovacevski was elected as Prime Minister. The new coalition cabinet composed of Kovacevski's Social Democrats and two ethnic Albanian parties. Gordana Siljanovska-Davkova took office on 12 May 2024, becoming the country's first female president. Parliament, or Assembly, Macedonian, Sobrani, is the country's legislative body. It makes, proposes and adopts laws. The Constitution of North Macedonia has been in use since shortly after the independence of the Republic in 1991. It limits the power of the governments, both local and national. The military is also limited by the Constitution. The Constitution states that North Macedonia is a social free state, and that Skopje is the capital. The 120 members are elected for a mandate of 4 years through a general election. Each citizen aged 18 years or older can vote for one of the political parties. The current President of Parliament is Jovan Majtovski since 2024. Executive power in North Macedonia is exercised by the government, whose Prime Minister is the most politically powerful person in the country. The members of the government are chosen by the Prime Minister and there are ministers for each branch of the society. There are ministers for economy, finance, information technology, society, internal affairs, foreign affairs and other areas. The members of the government are elected for a mandate of 4 years. Judiciary power is exercised by courts, with the court system being headed by the Judicial Supreme Court, Constitutional Court and the Republican Judicial Council. The Assembly appoints the judges.
Administrative divisions.
North Macedonia's statistical regions exist solely for legal and statistical purposes. The regions are Eastern, Northeastern, Pelagonia, Polog, Skopje, Southeastern, Southwestern, Vardar. In August 2004, the country was reorganized into 84 municipalities, Opštine, Opština, and reduced to 80 in 2013. 10 of the municipalities constitute the city of Skopje, a distinct unit of local self-government and the country's capital. Most of the current municipalities were unaltered or merely amalgamated from the previous 123 municipalities established in September 1996. Others were consolidated and their borders changed. Prior to this, local government was organized into 34 administrative districts, communes, or counties, also Opštine.
Naming dispute.
The use of the name Macedonia was disputed between Greece and North Macedonia. The specific naming dispute was reignited after the breakup of Yugoslavia and the newly gained independence of the former Socialist Republic of Macedonia in 1991. Greece opposed the use of the name without a geographical qualifier so as to avoid confusion with its own region of Greek Macedonia to the south. As some ethnic Greeks identify themselves as Macedonians, unrelated to the Slavic people who are associated with North Macedonia, Greece further objected to the use of the term Macedonian for the neighboring country's largest ethnic group. It accused the country of appropriating symbols and figures that are historically considered parts of Greece's culture, such as Virgin Sun and Alexander the Great, and of promoting the irredentist concept of a united Macedonia, which would include territories of Greece, Bulgaria, Albania, and Serbia. The UN adopted the provisional reference the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, Macedonian, Pokrajina Jugoslavenska Republika Makedonija. Romanized, Pokrajina Jugoslavenska Republika Makedonija, abbreviated as FYR Macedonia, or FYROM, when the country was admitted to the organization in 1993. The lowercase former was chosen intentionally to display the provisionality of the name, although most UN member countries soon abandoned the provisional reference and recognized the country as the Republic of Macedonia instead. Most international organizations adopted the same convention along with over 100 UN members and 4 of the 5 permanent UN Security Council members. In the period between 1991 and 2019, the country's name was an ongoing issue in bilateral and international relations. The UN set up a negotiating process with a mediator, Matthew Nimmers, and the two parties to try to mediate the dispute. Following the ratification of the Prespa Agreement, most major international organizations welcomed the settlement of the long-standing dispute and adopted the country's new name.
Foreign relations.
North Macedonia became a member state of the UN on the 8th of April 1993, 18 months after its independence from Yugoslavia, as the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, and was referred as such within the UN until the 2019 resolution of the long-running dispute with Greece about the country's name. The major interest of the country is a full integration in the European and the transatlantic integration processes. North Macedonia is a member of the following international and regional organizations: IMF, since 1992, WHO, since 1993, EBRD, since 1993, Central European Initiative, since 1993, Council of Europe, since 1995, OSCE, since 1995, SECI, since 1996, La Francophonie, since 2001, WTO, since 2003, CEFTA, since 2006, and NATO, since 2020. In 2005, the country was officially recognized as a European Union candidate state. At the NATO 2008 Bucharest summit, Macedonia failed to gain an invitation to join the organization because Greece vetoed the move after the dispute over the name issue. The US had previously expressed support for an invitation, but the summit then decided to extend an invitation only on condition of a resolution of the naming conflict with Greece. In March 2009, the European Parliament expressed support for North Macedonia's EU candidacy and asked the EU Commission to grant the country a date for the start of accession talks by the end of 2009. The Parliament also recommended a speedy lifting of the visa regime for Macedonian citizens. Prior to the Prespa Agreement, the country failed to receive a start date for accession talks as a result of the naming dispute. However, after the Prespa Agreement, North Macedonia became a member state of NATO on the 27th of March 2020. The EU's stance was similar to NATO's in that resolution of the naming dispute was a precondition for the start of accession talks. In October 2012, the EU Enlargement Commissioner Stefan Füle proposed a start of accession negotiations with the country for the fourth time, while the previous efforts were blocked each time by Greece. At the same time, Füle visited Bulgaria in a bid to clarify the state's position with respect to Macedonia. He established that Bulgaria had almost joined Greece in vetoing the accession talks. The Bulgarian position was that Sofia cannot grant an EU certificate to Skopje, which is systematically employing an ideology of hate towards Bulgaria.
Military.
The Army of the Republic of North Macedonia, ARSM, is led by the General Staff. Below it are the Operations Command, which includes the Mechanized Infantry Brigade, the Air Brigade, the Special Operations Regiment, and several independent battalions, the Training and Doctrine Command, which also oversees the Military Reserve Force, and the Logistics Base. There is also an Honor Guard Battalion that is directly subordinated to the General Staff. As of 2024, the ARSM had 8,000 active personnel and 4,850 reservists, and as of 2023 it had a military budget of $275 million United States dollars. It has been a volunteer military since conscription was ended in 2007. North Macedonia has deployed troops to Afghanistan, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Iraq, Kosovo, and Lebanon, as part of NATO, EU, or UN missions. The Ministry of Defense develops the Republic's defense strategy and assesses possible threats and risks. It is also responsible for the defense system, including training, readiness, equipment, and development, and for drawing up and presenting the defense budget.
Human rights.
North Macedonia is a signatory to the European Convention on Human Rights and the UN Geneva Convention relating to the status of refugees and Convention against torture, and the Constitution guarantees basic human rights to all Macedonian citizens. According to human rights organizations, in 2003 there were suspected extrajudicial executions, threats against, and intimidation of human rights activists and opposition journalists, and allegations of torture by the police.
Economy.
Ranked as the fourth best reformatory state out of 178 countries ranked by the World Bank in 2009, North Macedonia has undergone considerable economic reform since independence. The country has developed an open economy with trade accounting for more than 90% of GDP in recent years. Since 1996, North Macedonia has witnessed steady, though slow, economic growth with GDP growing by 3.1% in 2005. This figure was projected to rise to an average of 5.2% in the 2006 to 2010 period. The government has proven successful in its efforts to combat inflation, with an inflation rate of only 3% in 2006 and 2% in 2007, and has implemented policies focused on attracting foreign investment and promoting the development of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. The current government introduced a flat tax system with the intention of making the country more attractive to foreign investment. The flat tax rate was 12% in 2007 and was further lowered to 10% in 2008. As of 2005, North Macedonia's unemployment rate was 37.2% and as of 2006 its poverty rate was 22%. Due to a number of employment measures as well as the successful process of attracting multinational corporations, and according to the State Statistical Office of North Macedonia, the country's unemployment rate in the first quarter of 2015 decreased to 27.3%. Government's policies and efforts in regards to foreign direct investments have resulted with the establishment of local subsidiaries of several world-leading manufacturing companies, especially from the automotive industry, such as Johnson Controls Inc., Van Hool NV, Johnson Matthey plc, Lear Corp., Visteon Corp., Costal GmbH, Gentherm Inc., Draxelmeier Group, Kromberg and Schubert, Marquardt GmbH, Amphenol Corp., Techno-Ho Spa, KEMET Corp., Key Safety Systems Inc., ODW Electric GmbH, etc. In terms of GDP structure, as of 2013, the manufacturing sector, including mining and construction, constituted the largest part of GDP at 21.4%, up from 21.1% in 2012. The trade, transportation and accommodation sector represents 18.2% of GDP in 2013, up from 16.7% in 2012, while agriculture represents 9.6%, up from 9.1% in the previous year. In terms of foreign trade, the largest sector contributing to the country's export in 2014 was chemicals and related products at 21.4%, followed by the machinery and transport equipment sector at 21.1%. North Macedonia's main import sectors in 2014 were manufactured goods classified chiefly by material, with 34.2%, machinery and transport equipment, with 18.7%, and mineral fuels, lubricants and related materials, with 14.4% of the total imports. Even 68.8% of the foreign trade in 2014 was done with the EU, which makes the Union by far the largest trading partner of North Macedonia, 23.3% with Germany, 7.9% with the UK, 7.3% with Greece, 6.2% with Italy, etc. Almost 12% of the total external trade in 2014 was done with the Western Balkan countries. In 2007, North Macedonia's information technology market increased 63.8% year-on-year, which was the fastest growing in the Adriatic region. North Macedonia has one of the highest shares of people struggling financially, with 72% of its citizens stating that they could manage on their household's income only with difficulty or with great difficulty, though North Macedonia, along with Croatia, was the only country in the Western Balkans to not report an increase in this statistic. Corruption and a relatively ineffective legal system also act as significant restraints on successful economic development. North Macedonia still has one of the lowest per capita GDPs in Europe. Furthermore, the country's grey market is estimated at close to 20% of GDP. PPS GDP per capita stood at 36% of the EU average in 2017, with a GDP per capita of $9,157 United States dollars at purchasing power parity and the